Singapore, every house also will either get dusty or moldy issue.
Homeowners do have a right to demand this from the professional.
We can't want the best without paying the best.
But the reality is home renovation usually is very emotional. Welcome to this episode of the SIXiDER Show, where we ask tough questions to the designers, renovators and merchants related to the Singapore interior design industry. I'm your host, SD Ng, aka The Designer. And joining me here today, we have Shawn Teng, who is the Senior Interior Designer from Project L. Now, I hear that he has many years of experience. Maybe you want to share a little bit more about yourself as well as Project L.
Hi, SD. I'm Shawn from Project L Studio. I'm actually in this industry for interior designer is about around 8 years lah. So actually, I'm quite interested in designing client house, home, and helping them to create a beautiful home out with the cooperation of the clients lah.
What about Project L?
Okay, Project L is a company that my friend introduced me into the company. I find the company is very well, and normally for the higher management people, they will help along with all the ideas. If let's say anything they are unsure about, they are always there for us.
What does the L stands for in Project L?
The boss
The boss?
name, I think, start with L.
L.
Yeah, correct.
And what's the boss name?
Lucas.
Lucas.
Correct.
We always ask this to some of our interior designers who join us, right? We ask them what's their superpower. So what's your superpower? As an interior designer, how do you use that superpower with regards to your projects?
Normally, my superpower with my project, the clients that I always have is more on rapport. So in between, normally, all the clients that I have, they always feel that they need somebody to understand them. Okay, instead of keep fighting back of what the ID wants lah. Definitely, we need to be the understanding one. Then, in order to find a solution to what the client needs lah, to create a beautiful home.
In a word, is you are an understanding designer.
Yes, correct.
But in order to be understanding, you have to ask a lot of questions.
Yes,
Some
definitely.
homeowners actually can be quite funny lah. They probably would say to test you, they will keep quiet and ask you, what do you think we can do? Yeah.
Normally-
Have you encountered this
Yeah.
kind of situation?
Actually, a lot of owner nowadays, they will be like that. Even if, don't say owner, if I'm the one, I also will be the one keep questioning. Like, because I'm doing a home, so am I able to entrust this home to the ID that is capable to help me to settle what my home is going to be? Because definitely a reno, when it starts, the reno is going to let the owner stay in for about maybe more than 5 years or 10 years or 20 years. So we doesn't know how long they are going to stay. And also definitely when it comes to issue, like situation happens, okay, after the reno, then what does the owner normally do on this? It's very, very hassle thing. So normally I will understand this. That's why I will give my best to the owner depends on what they need and wants.
So does Project L's SOP conduct a needs analysis? Meaning that you actually sit down to derive a project brief with the homeowner?
Yes, definitely.
What is the typical questionnaire going to look like?
You need to ask owner on what their requirement is first. Secondly, of course, we come to budget, okay, on what they want to do. In terms of budget, normally nowadays, it's always over the budget that they want because due to social media, so many pictures here and there. So everybody will want to have their house to be so nice and beautiful. But definitely, in terms of design, there is a cost to pay lah. Normally, we will ask owner on doing the needs rather than the wants first. So definitely, if let's say you are telling me, say that you want to do a glass to enclose the kitchen, okay, because due to you got cooked, then you don't want the whole house to become so oily. But maybe you tell me once a week, okay, so I will tell you that don't waste the money on the glass lah, because you only cook once a week, not daily. And also the glass need to be more tedious on cleaning here and there.
So it always starts off with a list of wants.
Yes.
But through your eyes, you will determine one column for needs, one column for wants.
Yes.
And needs is no matter how this is the amount of money that you should spend.
Yes.
Then the wants becomes the vanity lah, the things that you want a bit more.
Correct.
And I know most designers will take this route, like the needs are also based on the areas of the house as well.
Correct.
right?
Yes.
They will say that the most important area. Maybe you want to share a bit more on that.
I will normally ask client like how many packs is going to stay in this house. Example, if let's say the owner that I received the requirement, they only have a 25K budget to actually renovate the house, but they need every room to have a wardrobe. Okay, then after that they need to have the kitchen cabinets, followed by the toilet. They need to overlay of tiles. So definitely I will ask them what's the wardrobe for the other room for. Okay, so they will just say that maybe down the years, maybe 3 to 4 years later, I got a kid, a newborn that actually I want to put this for their room. So I will normally advise them to actually, it's not a need to actually place the wardrobe there, because you're going to put it there and the thing will turn into dusty and dirty.
Maybe you don't need that kind of wardrobe.
Yes, correct.
So it becomes a parent's wardrobe. Like.
Yeah, correct. You will feel that it's another thing that incur the cost also. So I will normally tell owners say that maybe we do on a prioritize things first, because due to the budget you have is quite limited, and also we do on what the area that actually you all will access to the most first. And secondly is 你朋友亲戚 all come, is always at the living or even the common bathroom or the kitchen. It's not basically on the inside the room. So I will feel that it's much more better to spend the cost wisely on the things that you have.
So in that sense, right, it's like your approach to interior design and renovation is that you go through a needs analysis and filter out what can be done from a needs point of view and within budget. Anything else is really depending on whether the situation calls for it or not.
Yes, correct.
But then the thing is, of course, there are also homeowners who may or may not tell you the absolute truth.
Yes.
Or they don't even know that that is something that they need to share. For instance, what I mean is, sometimes homeowner will come to the showroom, right, and they show you photographs of, let's say, a resale property. And because the photographs actually from a property agent, they are usually quite nice one. You can't determine whether it's really how old and whether the condition is as per the pictures.
Okay.
Which means that potentially there could be hidden costs.
Yep.
And the hidden things that I'm talking about here could be, for example, aircon that doesn't work anymore. But previously they did it in a concealed way. Means that it's now covered by wardrobe. So they thought that the old wardrobe still can maintain, but because the aircon maybe got problem, got leaking issue, your pipes need to change, which means that your wardrobe may have to dismantle, right? The other one is, of course, window seal. Sometimes they get like leakage, water leakage, or even mold, right? Mold on wall, mold on ceiling. All these usually don't manifest. And homeowners' perspective, they will think that when I renovate, I get a painter paint over can already, right? But these are the things that ultimately determine your final costing. So if you don't get a chance to view the site, you may not get to be able to put out a very accurate quote.
Correct.
And second is homeowners' expectation versus your knowledge may not be tally. In this kind of scenario, how would you advise going about doing it? So give you an example. The homeowner come, they show you some pictures as per what I just described. What would you do? What are the questions you will ask to determine whether there is this potential hidden cost or not?
Normally we will base on customer requirement first, on what they want to do first. So once we take down everything already, we'll do the quotation out. And I will definitely tell customers, say that this one is based on the photo that you send me. So basically, this quote is just a temporary one. Once we go up, I definitely need to view on the site to see whether everything is okay. Then we finalize the quote. Then to proceed for the renovation.
But will there be a situation whereby the homeowners first want to qualify based on price?
Definitely, you will have lah.
Then there will always be a designer who will lowball.
Okay, yeah, correct.
Come a very low price, right? And then you anticipate lah. You say this is a 20-year property. I need to provision at least 10% for repair works.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
The other ID from another firm, maybe it's even a junior one, right? Because they just want to get a job. They are not experienced. Then they end up basically giving a lowball quote.
Yeah, correct.
Then how? What would you do?
Okay, actually normally we face this kind of issue daily basis. Because owner definitely when they comes, they don't only come to one ID firm. Definitely they will do a comparison through few companies. Then secondly is those kind of low ball IDs is really it's either the ID is new or the ID is very familiar, experience on this trade. So they will go on to a low price to go with it first. Then after that, behind all this, I will add up to tell you, say that, this one unforeseen, we can't do anything. But due to this kind of issue, normally I will tell owner say that if let's say you go to 10间 ID, 7间 ID give you the pricing about the same, but only the 3 company that actually giving you the low ball pricing. Will you be confident to actually pay the price to go ahead with them? I can say that ID firm mostly is 大同小异. No matter what kind of company that you went to, the pricing is around there.
Market rate lah.
Yeah, market rate one. So it depends on the owner that, okay, the first thing that they want to find an ID, okay, what kind of ID they want to have. Understanding one, cost only that you see in your eyes, or the responsibility of the ID that very prompt to you in your message and everything. So I will ask owner to consider all these first, rather to consider, of course, the costing is always the important part, but due to the costing, sometimes you believe in the ID that he is doing. You know that he won't lie to you. Okay, why not just go ahead? If let's say there's a difference only about 1 to 2K, I feel it's not a risk to take.
But we come back to the property itself. Is there like a guide that you can share with the audience? For example, if the property is just MOP, how much you need to set aside for small repair? Then MOP is 5 years only,
Yep, correct.
Past 5 years is the next milestone is 10 years. Then the next milestone is 15 years.
Correct.
Or more. And we know 15 years, HDB recommend change what? Electrical, change pipe,
Yes,
right?
correct.
So is there a guide? Like, is there a percentage that you factor in, you will tell your homeowners?
Actually, normally I will tell homeowners, maybe you set aside like 10 to 15%, okay, for the
for
reno.
how old? For a property
For
that's how
about
old?
5 years, 5 years down the road, like the MOP PTO lah. That one is counted as quite new also. So definitely the furniture like kitchen cabinets, all this is still well maintained. Depends on owner, the previous owner, how they do it, on the cleaning, all this lah. If let's say you want to change over, it's only the basic hygiene stuff. Like example, the toilet bowls, all the toilet stuff. Then after that, maybe you tell me say that the cabinets, the wardrobe, you feel dirty, just dismantle and do a new one. That one won't be a very big major cost lah. But if let's say you are telling me say that you want to take over the house, you feel that the flooring is very ugly, you want to change a new flooring, or the toilet, you feel that the tiles is so awful, don't match around for your theme or design of what you want to have, then that one, of course, the cost will be more higher lah.
So the older the property, the more you need to set aside for these contingencies.
Yes, correct. Because normally for a property, let's say any unit or even commercial or shopping center, all this, okay, cement, all this is tend to have the age also lah. 好像我们人，我们都会变老。Okay, so when cement 这些, when your use time, definitely after due to the weather and the environment, the thing will tend to become weaker. So of course, after 10 or 15 years later, we will normally advise the owner, if let's say you got extra budget, it's better to revamp the whole thing. Instead of, you tell me say that 你只是要做一个小装修，因为你要省钱。But if let's say you want to 省钱，你做那个小的 okay, after 你做完这个小的时候 normally after the reno, right, the other thing will happen one. It will affect to another area. Because whatever we do, if let's say you are telling me say that you are hacking a toilet in the master bedroom, okay, so you hack the toilet already, definitely the vibration of the Makita will affect the common bathroom just beside, because due to the vibration too hard. So normally it depends on owner how they want to see things. Okay, but what we can do is we can only advise and compromise with what they want.
Now let's get to the topic of all these hidden elements. Just now we talk about hidden costs, and now we talk about hidden things that will pop up that homeowners may not anticipate, and maybe inexperienced designer won't even think about. One of which, of course, is very common, leakage issues.
Okay.
Now we know properties that are 15 years and above.
Yep.
HDB on their website actually states that ideally change the pipes, ideally change your wiring.
Okay.
And of course, there are homeowners who, when they go to the place that they see, hey, it looks pretty new, and they will tell you, no, I think don't need to change. What's your advice on this?
Okay.
What are the potential problems that will come?
Okay, normally we will base on site visit first to see how's the condition of the house. Then to define whether the thing is new or old. Secondly is leakage issue is always very obvious. So you will see a patch of water there, or even the thing, if let's say leakage very long already, then after that the whole thing will become very moldy. Even due to sealing, when the paint is slightly yellowish, we know that actually there's a leakage there already. So we will advise owner, if let's say possible, right, do a repair on the site first, rather than you just ask me to paint over, because it's not like just a makeup to paint over, then after that nothing will happen, because the hole is still there and you don't know where's the hole is. So if let's say you never settle this issue, after I paint finish, maybe due to you stay in already about 3 to 4 months later, the whole thing will tend to come out again, this color. Of course, we know that all this leakage issue is not caused by anybody, but due to the HDB area side. But sometimes things unforeseen lah. So if let's say if we can, on ID's job, right, we will normally call into HDBs to see whether they are able to settle this issue for the owners. But if let's say the HDB side say they can't, okay, we will go on a lower cost basis to actually help the owner to settle the issue.
What about the situations whereby you go to the site, you assess the site already, but you are assessing your unit, the homeowner's unit, and you know, as apartments, you have your up, down, left, right,
Yes.
surrounded by your neighbors.
Correct.
What happens if your neighbor downstairs actually have more issues, but maybe it came from your waterproofing,
Okay.
and there are new homeowners, so they don't know the neighbor. Nobody came out and make noise.
Yes.
So the previous homeowner also never say. Is there anything to prevent this? Because ultimately it means that you reno halfway, or you reno finish, new tiles laid, everything. They stay in already. Suddenly the neighbor downstairs came out and tell the homeowners.
Okay. Actually, I've been working in this trade for about 8 years. I come across this kind of issue also lah. Like after I reno finished, then after that the downstairs neighbor came up to tell me say that actually our leakage during the reno affect their house. For example, that time I used to have one client. Actually, I reno almost finished already. So the neighbor actually came up say that actually we having reno time actually affect the PVC sewage piping over at the kitchen area. So I went down and see, actually there's quite a lot of water actually dripping lah. So then after that, we can only ask my contractor to remove the cabinet that is installed. Then after that, go through the sewage pipe, see what's the issue. So what we notice is, before we have this reno, okay, the sewage pipe inside already have metal stick actually punch through the sewage pipe already. It's only say that it's not so heavy, but the punch through the sewage pipe time, the metal is actually holding inside the hole. So the leakage is not so obvious. So while we're having reno time, I think due to vibration or what, right, the metal actually loosen. Then after that, the water start to drip.
What do you mean by a metal pipe? Somebody punched through?
Actually, it's a metal stick. I'm not sure how it actually came into the sewage pipe lah. So actually, a lot of thing is actually unforeseen. So we're not sure that actually what is hidden in the sewage pipe. When we're having reno, I also can't open up the whole sewage pipe to actually see what is underneath also. So all these things will actually happens. Okay, then after that, we subsequently will help the owner, the neighbor lah, to settle the issue with the sewage pipe first. Then after that, we settle our renovation from my client.
So your policy is that you will address this issue,
Yes,
especially since renovation was by you guys. But isn't it more ideal to go to your upstairs, downstairs, left, right?
Actually, I got this habit of doing this lah. Before I start the reno, I will always go to neighbors that is around the unit to actually inform them that actually we are going to have the reno for the upcoming following date lah. So that will be a bit noisy, and also before start work of 3 days in advance, I will normally go down to the neighbor that is left, right, down, and up lah. I will go into their house to actually take photos of like their bathrooms lah, the kitchen area lah, all these to actually have a proof there is nothing happened before I start this reno lah.
I think that's after what you learned from that experience, it really helps to do that homework, because at the end of the day, you don't have that finger pointing, and it's going to be very painful because you already done new flooring, new everything, and it's very painful. You have to redo everything again.
And also when we do it in this kind of situation, right, I can say that sometimes all these unforeseen circumstances, owner will feel that ID need to bear the cost. This is why sometimes over the quotation, ID normally will buffer a bit into all these like unforeseen circumstances.
But Shawn, I mean, to a certain extent, I think the homeowners do have a right to kind of demand this from the professional lah.
Okay.
They pay for that service. They expect someone to do the groundwork and understand. And they already pay for the renovation. They would not have foreseen that downstairs will have that issue also. For example, they go to food court and they order char kway teow, right? And char kway teow, if you without saying anything, the default is they will give you ham. If they somehow or rather give you char kway teow without ham, then the chef not very professional.
I understand. IDs normally will of course do their checking before they start their work. Okay, for the renovation. So any kind of stuff that might happen, okay, normally they will be advised in advance first. But definitely, if let's say you are telling me say that after almost finish on the reno, then this thing arise. Of course, nobody would want to have all this to happen in between the reno or after the reno. So firstly is it happens, okay, during the reno. Of course, we can settle the issue. Secondly is, if let's say you are telling me say that, of course, ID need to bear a full cost because due to this kind of unforeseen thing, I feel that able to let the ID know that maybe we can do a half-half in between with the owners. Because if let's say come to things that able to see whether the ID 有没有 check, okay, 我可以讲说 if let's say the thing so obviously can see, I feel that 对他没有做他的工作来 check 这个 issue， 这个东西的话你给他 bear full cost is based on he never do the check properly. But if let's say you are telling me say that 这个 serious spike 埋在他的底下面 nobody able to see anything. So 如果是这样的 circumstances 的话 I feel that 可以 owner 可以的话理解一下看那个 situation 是怎样再帮咯，这样子咯。
So to a certain extent, owners who buy properties that are very mature,
Yeah, correct.
they have to know that there is a potential issues lah. There is a significant amount of potential risk that they have to take.
Yes, correct.
And this due diligence, while should be on the IDs, but it's also bearable by the homeowners.
Correct.
So would you so bring your homeowner down to inspect up, down, left, right?
Normally, we will do the inspection up, down, left, right with owners lah. It's good to have owner there because anything that they are able to visual, they're able to see what is going on in between the site also. Whenever that actually the visiting, all this happens, right? Owners sometimes will feel that a lot of things that they're not sure how to see also. So IDs normally will need to play a big part for that to actually highlight up. But due to some ID, they feel that maybe now I highlight this issue. Okay, owner will 吓到 with 那个价钱。哇 how come 我的 reno actually by right 只是需要花一个30千，现在你 highlight 这些 issue 我变成要 hack 这个 hack 那个，就变成 the budget over. Then it will be over the cost for the reno for them already, but the contract already signed. So 很多 owner 就是会来到这点 then after that come to say that ID actually 很多 hidden cost 咯。I will always tell owner say that before confirming a quotation, okay, on the reno, maybe do a checking with the ID to do a site visit over at the units first. So all those like unforeseen thing able to talk by itself over at the meeting over the site.
Do one final assessment.
Yes, correct.
Up, down, left, right.
Yes, correct.
And then really examine the quotation again.
Correct.
To make sure that all these things are taken into consideration.
Yes, correct.
And as you're saying this, I visualize buying a second-hand car.
Yeah, that's exactly the same.
So when you buy a first-hand car, right, if there's an issue, you tell the brand, the HQ, hey,
Yes.
this leather got a bit of scratch.
Yes.
And they are no questions asked because brand new car cannot have any problem.
Correct.
If you buy second-hand car, inherently exists few things. Number one, mileage, right? Engine wear and tear.
Yes,
So the same can be said for properties as well.
correct.
So a lot of things, especially for property, quite similar to cars because unless you know how to see the engine, you won't know what's going to happen.
correct.
One. But because of the reputation with the renovation industry, tends to sound like it's very scammy.
Yeah.
But the reality is home renovation or even like buying cars, right? Usually it's very emotional.
Yeah, correct.
And if you see a brand that you want, or that particular car suddenly comes in this nice color, or the leather interior is the
very nice.
very
still,
nice
Still new.
camel, tan leather, you where got think about the engine? You don't think about engine,
Correct.
you think about is the look, and when you drive the car, how it feels.
Yes, correct.
Right, you can already imagine yourself inside, and the same can be said for home renovation.
Yes.
People already see the 3D and they envision that they'll be inside. So a lot of these sometimes get abused by designers because they make use of these tools to entice the homeowner, and they feel very emotionally invested in this designer or this pricing or this look, and so much so they go into it and there's an issue.
Yep.
And it helps to be objective. And I think what Shawn you do with Project L is going to make a difference because it may sound a little bit more tedious, but if you really want to have peace of mind, and especially when you bring your whole family to come and stay in a place,
Yes.
the last thing you want is every other day you're trying to solve a problem. Upstairs, downstairs, left and right.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So but let's zero in more on hidden things. And I think today people talk about renovation, they don't just talk about the aesthetics, they don't just talk about the needs, wants, the function, they talk about things that's invisible. Number one, ventilation. Number two, what about the toxicants that renovation introduced to the space? For example, VOC, formaldehyde. There are articles that basically addresses. I remember reading one is that this homeowner, the dog got cancer and died because of inhaling the renovation fumes.
Okay.
All right. Then there are some people who literally sued the even because the formaldehyde level is very high. And these are invisible.
Yep.
And interestingly, this seems to be a new phenomenon. Renovation has been around in Singapore for like God knows how long already,
Yeah,
right?
correct.
But suddenly people are caring more about the space and the fumes that they inhale, and they worry about things like carcinogens, formaldehyde. How? Right? If you're going to make a home that's more green, more sustainable, more healthy, is it going to cost more?
Yes.
And is the renovation going to be longer? And if I pay more, how will I know? Because it's all invisible. How will you know you have used better product or that there's no formaldehyde?
Correct.
Yeah, what's your take on this?
Due to ventilation issue, I can say that our country is a very moisture country. Okay,
Humid,
because very humid, because we are surrounded by water also firstly. Secondly is, if let's say you are telling me say that you got a habit of every time on aircon to sleep, or even throughout the day, when you off the aircon already, you need to open up your window to actually air the whole house because due to your house is very cold, then 外面的太阳又很大，它就会造成很多水汽在你的家里面。
Condensation.
Yeah, correct. That is where actually most do happens Some owners, they will feel that I don't want to open up the window because my house is just directly the highway. So there will be a lot of dust everything here and there over at the house. So normally come to this kind of issue, I will tell owners say that 二选一咯，因为怎样都好，怎样子做都好，都会有一个 issue， 只是讲说 which one do you feel that is much more better to sacrifice?
The least impact.
Yeah, correct. 二选一这里的话，我会跟 owner 讲 no matter how, there's still a maintenance need to do to be done over here, because you telling me say that you are beside the highway, but 你的家又会中太阳so 你又不 air， 它就会登 moldy， 你开了窗口它就会变 dusty， so 你一定要选择一个，看哪一个比较重要来做咯。Which one is more important? Then after that you do the following things because 新加坡 every house also will either get dusty or moldy issue. So it depends on how the owners want to maintain, and also moldy issue when it happens, it will be more tedious job I can say, and also you need to spend even more costs.
If you ask me 二选一, it's almost like saying that between mold and dust, which one can kill you? Dust can kill you. No?
I think dust not able to kill you Okay, I feel that moldy can affect really a lot of things because due to the germs, then hygiene purpose, and also when moldy issue happens, it tend to have smells also. Molding issue 最好 settle 会比较好，不要觉得是说 this thing happen there, then just leave it there. Doesn't matter Okay, 因为 you don't know what it costs to affect other thing over in the house. Dust 的话，你会问我的话 ，even 我们出门，你闻的话，哪里都是 dust， 因为汽车都很多，马路都很多。So we can't avoid. We only able to wear mask, but you can't tell me say that you are wearing mask 24/7 also a day. So I feel that there's a place to maintain the house.
My take on this is that mold is prevalent every time we have moisture and when it's dark. But interestingly, it is something that you can take action and reduce.
Yes.
Whereas no matter how, like what you say, no matter how you cannot reduce dust, it will
correct.
still, because we are a small country,
Yes.
we're very near roadsides
Correct.
and construction, the high amount of dust is always going to be there.
Yes.
So you can't prevent that.
Correct.
But you can prevent more.
Yes.
And the impact that it has for the inhabitants in the space when it comes to more, if you don't worry about yourself, you have to think about your pets and your kids, because younger kids and older adults tend to be more prone to being affected by more.
Yes.
I remember when I was young, the reason why I had asthma was largely due to more.
Okay.
So once I moved away from, I used to stay in Joo lah, so old shop house. The rain, then a lot of more on the old walls.
Okay.
You know, this is like 1920s or built in 1920s, or very, very old. So nobody knew the reason why. It's always said that by the time you're 15 years old, you won't have asthma anymore. Then it turns out that actually the real reason was asthma. And then the studies actually came in and say that it's not just me, it's my generation, because the knowledge about more and interior space was not very accessible.
Okay.
Nowadays, more and more people know about these things. And in that sense, it gives the homeowners that ownership, that they worry about themselves, they worry about the kids and the future people staying inside.
Yep.
But the other points that we were talking about is that if you were to anticipate all this, for example, you say more, back to more. And the ideal thing is to have sealers, right? To have anti-mold paint.
Yep.
And it will cost more, right?
Yes, definitely it will cost more because due to the material itself is expensive already. But if let's say if there is a need, I will normally advise owner to do it just in case that anything like moldy issue will happen years later or anything. But of course, due to all these paints, all this, it won't last forever in the unit also. So definitely I will tell owners say that maybe you need to do a maintenance, maybe about 3 to 5 years later, you need to paint again the anti-mold to make sure that the effect of the paints is still there 啦。不要觉得说 everything 只是做一次 then 之后了你们就放住 then after that maybe 6 years later you contact back the ID 我不是那时跟你 Reno 的时候我有用过那个 anti-mold how come 我的 moldy issue 出现了这样子的意思 when there so normally I will tell owner say that you don't need to maintain 啦
So on that, right, if for example you mentioned that it will cost more and the homeowners really cannot tell on right? So you will actually insist that after you assess the site, this is potential issue. I'm going to suggest to you that you use this and you use this really, it'll be better. But how do they know that you have actually applied oil-based sealer and exactly the paint that you specify is actually the anti-mold one?
So before the painting start, we will definitely take photos to show owner, or if let's say owner wants, we will definitely ask them whether you are free to come down to have a view on the paint first. Then after that, we start the painting 2 days later.
Okay.
In advance lah.
So that means that while we cannot see the paint, whether it is exactly performing the anti-mold, choose the right brand.
Yes.
The brand that says that it is anti-mold.
Yes.
Then before application, you actually invite the homeowner to come and visit the site and see that the actual cans of paint is there.
Correct.
And then that is the best evidence that your application would be based on this product.
Yes.
Okay. Then let's talk about formaldehyde. Talk about VOCs. These things that are invisible. Now in the market, there are a lot of people selling E0 boards or they claim to be zero formaldehyde plywood, and it lowers the formaldehyde or the toxicants that's in the space. Now, unless the homeowner has got like super bionic nose or they have a way to test the internal air quality, how do they know that what you specify is exactly what they're going to get?
Firstly is the quality is different. Okay, definitely by looking, you will know that actually the thing is different.
But how? Looking at what?
Looking at the material itself.
The laminates?
The laminate.
The plywood?
The plywood itself.
But your plywood is usually covered by laminate.
The only proof we can do is we will ask carpenter before they do the fabrication, take video of how they do the thing. Then after that, we will prove it inside the group chat of the owners to let them know that what they purchase is what they get. For all these expensive material, of course, the cost will be much more higher. When the cost is higher, owner need to understand that what incur the cost. Of course, we want the best thing, but definitely we can't want the best without paying the best. Actually, there's way to actually prevent all this smell not using the material also. Some of the professional ID, like me, example myself, I will normally air the house for at least 2 weeks in advance before handing over to owners. I will leave open slide a bit of the window to let the smell of the things that actually we do and stick the laminate over in the cabinet. If let's say the smell is strong, I will ask owner to actually get some pandan leaf, okay, to put at those areas that they actually have cabinets. So it will actually take away the smell.
So these are some practices lah. One is the use of the specified material. You will actually conduct video shooting to show them proof that this is the product that you're using for this project. And your personal practice is that you allow the property to purge.
Yes.
So that it ventilates sufficiently. You say 2 weeks, which basically means at the end of the day, you need to factor these 2 weeks purging in the renovation schedule.
Yes, correct.
So the purging and all that is to allow the chemicals to off gas, and eventually the interior space is more livable.
Correct.
And the last thing is actually extra one, adding activated carbons or pandan leaves and all that, so that using natural remedies to so-called absorb all these things.
Yes.
I do think that this helps as an ID, but ownership also can be falling onto homeowners. If you have a very tight time frame, then that opportunity to purge is not going to be there.
Correct.
And if you are in a rush to move in, no matter how they do it, right, I still believe there's a likelihood that there will still be smell. Because some of the things that goes into this home may not be 100% your work.
Yes. Correct.
So of late, a lot of people like to buy stuff from Taobao. Right? Then some of these things actually carries for matter height, made from other countries, other manufacturers.
Yes.
So there's always these possibilities. But I think at the end of the day, it helps that you're finding an ID that knows this, and then at the same time, you take preventive measure, one of which is to think about your renovation schedule. If you can allow for better cleaning, right? You can allow for better ventilation, allow it to purge, it would mean that you will have a better time staying in that property.
Yes, correct. For window height, all these, you also know that because the material is new in market, the price of the material is expensive.
So specifically talking about the EQuote.
Yes, correct. Because due to it, the product is new, a lot of people didn't know that the pros and cons about this product. We only know that this material is high quality, so it doesn't have all this chemical smell, all this. So I will tell owners say that it incur the cost is not by a bit, also a lot. Then maybe we'll do the tedious work first the habit to actually use normal new environment thing like open up the window or put pandan leaf to actually maintain, to take away the smell. And also you also wouldn't feel that after a while later, what does this thing will get damaged off? Nobody know in the market now also. So it's a risk to take also to spend the cost.
But won't you think that it is an option that the client can decide?
It's not a need for all this, unless you are telling me, say that family members really have skin issue, eczema, that when smell all this smell, they will feel sensitive, all this. I can say that 从以前古代, maybe before I'm born, the construction is always using all this chemical already. And last time didn't really have this kind of issue. And you didn't know that there's actually a product that able to help this issue. But now, of course, due to social network, all this, the high technology here and there, everybody feel that 有这个新的东西，为什么不要 try? But of course, 新的东西一定是 come with 价钱，一定是高的，因为它的 material 好嘛。So when there's good, sure there's a price to pay. Come to hear all this lah. So definitely I will tell owners say that either you pay for the high price or we just maintain on the habits, the old habits on how to actually take away the smell.
But the same argument can be said that the lifestyle has changed. I mean, if anything, COVID has has changed the way we work. A lot of people actually have hybrid situations. They go to office, they also stay at home to work. And not like the last time they spend like 90% of the days outside, and then they only stay at home during the weekend. And in the past, people don't rely on aircon as much.
Yep.
Nowadays, people use aircon more than anything.
Yes, correct.
And in the past, when we stay in those kind of shop houses, there's no aircon. They rely on ceiling fan. They rely on ventilation block, the building. Even the old doors got louvers.
Yeah, correct.
But now we don't introduce louvers to our doors, what? So in a way, the property cannot breathe. Then, of course, scientists come up with these things, right? So that there's an intervention. They say, because your lifestyle now is like that, I have to do something. Like, for example, aircon now got circulation. Right?
Yep.
Right? You can draw in fresh air to come in. So that you're not basically inhaling reuse air, right?
Yep.
And then, of course, if you have the option of using an EcoPly and all that, wouldn't you advise them to use it?
Of course, if let's say in a healthy way, I will advise customer to use it. But also, as ID, I think we need to pre-plan on owner budget also. Whether is this a big budget to actually concur in the renovation cost. If let's say the thing is definitely over their budget due to the cost that actually we're going to do, right? I will definitely tell owner say that, do you all need all this lah? Because this can be actually prevent in another way. In a easiest way, and also you can save the price 啦。它的 material actually 是大同小异的，只是讲说they don't use those kind of chemical to stick the laminate in a different way only. So 我觉得是说东西还是一样，只是料不一样，外表看还是东西一样。So 我会觉得说 you don't need to spend this heavy cost 啦。But if let's say you have the extra cost, you will want it, I definitely will push you to get the best for everything 啦。
So, which is about like assessing the family demographic. If you have young kids who are sensitive,
yes, correct.
Or old folks that's kind of bedridden, they have no choice. They're always inside.
Yes.
Then you would advise them to use it. And ultimately, it's about assessing the needs. Just like you assess whether this property has got more, and we've really got more, then the best thing is to have preventive measures taken into consideration during renovation.
Yes,
which is
correct.
do the oil-based sealer and then do the anti-mold. Then that one is must spend means must spend.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, cool. I think we've covered quite a fair bit with regards to this hidden cost related to renovation. And before we leave, we usually have a tradition here in Six Sites. And that is previous guests would actually leave a question for you, and later on you will leave a question for the next guy.
Okay.
All right, so this question is may or may not be related to renovation or interior design.
Okay.
So it's just for the audience to know you a little bit better.
Okay.
Okay? And that question is, if you get to travel the world, what is your preferred choice of transport? Train, car, plane, or ship?
我会 prefer plane
Why?
because plane actually we can fly off anytime we want. And also the traffic on the sky is not so heavy. So you can reach the destination you want fast 啦。
所以有点急性子。
对，我要快点到那种，不可以慢慢来的那种。
I got stewardess
做空少做不了，太矮了。
Okay. Well, so we come to the end of this interesting episode talking about health and wellness in the interior space. Join us next time as we again ask tough questions to interior designers, merchants, and renovators related to the interior design industry in Singapore. I will see you guys soon in the next episode of the SIXiDER Show. Bye. Bye.